Greetings, YouTube friends, subscribers, colleagues, scientists, like-minded, all those on the greater endeavor for the greater good of humanity. Well, guess what today is? Newman's final secret from me to you. That's right. The living legacy of the energy machine of Joseph Newman. Thank you for joining in, whoever's attending. So what do we have in store for tonight? Well, it's going to be remarkable history to be made by every man, woman, and child on planet Earth. And while everybody may try to disprove this, good luck. But for all who do succeed in doing this, it's going to be very simple, and you're going to make history along with everybody that jumps on this train. And regardless of the stuff that the people have tried to put out about this man delivered the absolute truth. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what the secret is. So let's get down to what they call brass tacks. All right, so a couple of things that you're going to need to know about are going to be this right here, a 1N4007 diode, and as much high voltage as you can get your hands on. But we're going to work with just a little bit of high voltage for right now because we're going to make a strong point on what I'm talking about here and what Joseph Newman is talking about. Greetings for all who are joining my live stream right now. In fact, let me just pop around and say hi to you guys. Hello to everyone. It's Monday, June the 29th. It's about 12 a.m. in the morning. A lot of us are staying up late apparently, right? Okay. So this is a very special gift. Joseph Newman provided this gift to the world. He did. And nobody else seems to get it or are able to replicate this. Or maybe they have and they keep getting shut down. But it doesn't matter because I can replicate this over and over and over again. And I have people that I'm working with that can replicate this over and over and over again. John Bedini did the same thing. Him and John Bedini knew this very secret that I am going to sit here and expose to you. So share the video far and wide because for every person that's in electrical engineering and who are following everything, they're going to gain a lot of knowledge by really understanding this. And if you want to know what this is the physical book, by the way. You're not going to find this anywhere. So the fact that it's in my possession means that I'm very real about what I'm talking about here. So let's go over a few things here. Batteries, Rayovac, easily rechargeable, high voltage capacitor. This right here is an old school analog amp meter. Let me see if I can get this camera to it. There you go. It's an old school analog amp meter, 30 amps with a shunt. And this shunt will allow operation of this in the correct amperage and voltage range. Now, let's talk about how we're going to measure everything. And first, I'm going to show everybody that there are no hidden tricks. Underneath this clear glass see-through table, there's no hidden tricks here at all. And, these wires, this array of wires that are here, are nothing more than a quick assortment of, me connecting everything up the way that it needs to be connected up in order to demonstrate the reality of this to everyone. So if you're a student, if you are somebody who's trying to figure out how to get more energy out than in, This is the man and the book that you need to research. The Energy Machine, Joseph Newman. So what do we have here? We have a Newman style energy machine. It's a coil of wire with a very heavy shaft and some magnets that go across the inside here in parallel. Notice that it is in parallel with the magnet. Now these are very heavy rotors. And when I say heavy, I mean this whole thing has a lot of weight to it. And the magnetic force inside these neodymium magnets are extremely powerful. Now, if you understand magnetic fields and magnetic flux, you'll know that they travel a certain way, including the ones that build up inside of the coil, they expand. However, the magnetic field that exists in these coils will not cancel out the enormous amount of power coming out of these neodymium magnets, these N52s. So, what have we learned in the past from some stuff that I've demonstrated? Well, let me go ahead and explain something to you. One of the secrets that everybody has caught on to and understands is that anytime you throw electrical energy inside of a coil of wire and you turn the circuit off, you get an enormous amount of potential called a back spike that comes back out and allows you to use it in something. And you can store it in something like one of these capacitors, and you can light up light bulbs. Now, bear in mind that I really do have some serious stuff here. And a really good person that I've been working with, which I will, expose all that at another time. He will know who he is, but we are, we've been working some really good projects, and he's still learning some things, and all that jazz. But let's get down to the seriousness of this. So, anytime you power an electrical motor, you have to have current and voltage. And generally, when you start moving large mass, things that are heavy, and I mean like a lot of weight, it draws a lot of current. And it drains batteries. It drains the batteries and they're gone. They're just completely dead. You have to buy new batteries, and all that kind of stuff. So, how do we stop draining batteries and get into a method to where, let's say, we buy a battery, but we want to keep it charged and we don't want to use solar electricity anymore and there's not enough sunlight or whatever. Okay. Now, as you've seen in the past, we did some stuff and with resonant circuits. And when I say the resonant circuits, I mean the ones where we take some relay coils and we collapse the magnetic fields, and we can do things like we see here, which I am going to demonstrate this to you guys. This is a 110 volt AC LED bulb, not LED, I'm sorry, it's a bulb. And it takes a lot of electrical energy to light this thing up. And by way of this amp meter, which everybody should know that this is a really good amp meter, I'm going to show you how much electrical energy in amperage is coming out of this and being fed back into these batteries. And how do we do that? Well, as the field collapses on that coil, it comes back in through this, generating extremely large amounts of high voltage, thousands of volts, and lots of amperage. And we will capture that amperage here, and then also we will see it push through this diode, which then is fed back into this battery bank. Now, what are we going to see as a result of starting to power this up? And how does this work, and what are the secrets of the secret sauce of the Joseph Newman energy machine? Well, a lot of people never like to read. They just don't like to read and study and understand the simplicity of what they're seeing before them. So sometimes translators have to come in and do that. That's why we have translators for all kinds of different languages. Maybe this just happens to be my language. I don't know, but it's pretty straightforward. And let's jump to a section in here that is super critical, okay? Everybody says, well, what is it that makes Joseph's machine run? What is the secret? Well, anybody that works with engines will know that in order for a mechanical engine to operate, it needs timing, meaning that the cylinders have to fire at specific times. Hey, good evening, Robert and Cindy Moore. Hi, Christy. So what is it that makes the engine run and run fast, run efficient, and all of that stuff? Well, it's timing. Now, in this Joseph Newman book, okay, once you get here into this Joseph Newman book, you come to the section where there is a commutator, and then there are these timing slots, okay? Now, what is the importance of these timing slots? Well, I'm going to break it down for you and make it really, really easy, and you're gonna catch on really fast. Look at this right here. You see a short, a blank, and a fire, okay? Now, while this may be a little complicated to understand, okay, I'm going to simplify this like a math equation. We're going to simplify it down and reduce it to its easiest possible method to understand. So, what we know is that every electrical engineer knows that they need to capture electrical energy, the backspike, in order to have usable energy to do things like recharge batteries or power lights or, just do electrical mechanical work. Water pumps, all kinds of stuff. Electric cars, heaters, just think about anything that has to do with electricity. It's going to revolve around these two things here. So, as I said earlier, what we want to do is when this thing fires, it'll get shorted out on its rotation. Whenever it shorts out, what happens is all of the electrical mechanical energy that's stored in this coil collapses on itself, passes through the wire, lights up this 110 volt AC bulb, produces a lot of current and electrical energy and voltage, comes through here, comes through this high voltage diode, and gets pushed back in here, but it can get pushed into anything. It can get pushed back into a capacitor. It can get pushed back into, a bank of capacitors. I mean, the sky is the limit. You have to be creative. But just like, you go out and you mine oil for gas, you put it in a gas tank. If you want more fuel, you got to store it in more gas tanks. Well, these are like the gas tanks. But these are also the gas tanks. So as long as you have something that you can pretty much get that energy out and then put it back in here and store it somewhere, potentially what you have is unlimited energy. You just got to have the storage medium to put the energy back into. And how do we get that? Okay, well, now we're going to get right to the point. The secret that I was talking about when you looked at that other commutator is this right here, okay? Just like on a motor, you have a timing circuit. You have the area in which the rotor itself fires. Give me 1 second. Oh, I don't know what happened. What is this? All right, I think we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Google's putting some stupid stuff in here. Okay, on this rotor, you have a firing section, and then you have a short section. The purpose of the firing section. The purpose of the firing section is when you tap the part where it says fire, that one tap automatically spins this heavy shaft flying. I mean, flying. You don't even leave this wire connected. You just touch it, and then boom, it rotates. And when that rotation happens, what happens is that the magnetic field that got generated in this coil collapsed, and then all of that stored energy went somewhere. It's called the back EMF. So the principle is that on the commutator, it touches the firing section. The shaft then rotates through and does not any longer make contact with the section where it's being shorted out. Now, if you can imagine a 5,000-pound shaft, okay? All you need to turn that 5,000-pound shaft is high voltage. That's it. Not a lot of current, just high voltage. And that is the Joseph Newman secret. The John Bedini and Joseph Newman circuitry typically would look something like this, okay? They use like some solid state circuits that look like this, where you can use bifilar coils to do other things and to charge batteries and get voltage regulated and all that stuff. But we're not going there yet. We're just simply talking about the secret of the energy machine itself and how to use absolutely no current, zero current, and I'm going to prove it right now, zero current to power a heavy shaft, right, while seeing lots of amp draw, while powering this high voltage bulb, producing lots of amperage, and then maintaining a voltage, and you'll see that it uses no current. And sometimes you may see that the amount of electricity coming back sometimes, triggers an action in the meter. All right, so you're probably going to want to see what this looks like running, and that's what we're going to do now, but I'm going to show you each one of the respective components as I turn it on, and you get to kind of see how this works and operates. And you're probably wondering, why do I have these heavy bottles of water securing some of this? Well, this thing spins so fast that these bearings almost are about to explode. Now, if you can imagine how fast that is, it's pretty fast. So we'll call it, shadow burn speed for tonight. But I'm going to just say that we're going to relive and spread the word on the legacy of the energy machine of Joseph Newman, because if it wasn't for this man here, none of this would be possible. None of it. Zero. And let's get started. We're going to power this on now. As you can see, we've got our connections here in this bank. We're going to go ahead and see that we get a standing voltage of 152 volts, okay? Now, this meter here is going to show you the voltage that's going into this capacitor, which there is absolutely none, because we have another meter that is sitting here, which is connected in series with the batteries to show us the current. That means how much current is flowing through into this as it's running. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on to the 10 amp scale. Let me see if I can just get this. Come on. Is my camera acting funny again? Hang on. All right. We're going to just go ahead and put this on the 10 amp scale. As you can see, it is on the 10 amp scale. Yes, I'm in Dallas. That's to Robert and Cindy Moore, yes. And to answer, let me see, I'm just looking at the text here. I would like at some point to try and build a magnetic motor generator. Seen a few and looks like an opportunity. Yes, Chris, if you take this information, download this video, you're going to be a master magnetic motor builder after this. In fact, everybody should do this. They should download the video because I can tell you right now, I've been attacked and censored over a lot of this data, and it's critical. So do whatever you got to do to download the information, because you know what you're seeing could be like the once in a lifetime thing, kind of like when this man was alive, no matter how much political BS was going on, you know, try to get the word out. And while they can't explain the physics of a perpetual motion machine, you know, it's okay. We're gonna you're gonna know what that is right now. It's nothing more than a coil of wire, an N52 neodymium magnet, heavy rotor. The seek is the high voltage, and the 1N4007 high voltage diode, and a capacitor. So as you can see, our standing voltage is 152 volts right now. We have no voltage going into the capacitor. This capacitor, you can use any capacitor you want as long as it's high voltage. This one just happens to be rated at 450 volts. Okay? Don't think about that. Just know that the capacitor needs to have high voltage. All right, and remember, this is going to show how much current is being used to power that heavy shaft. We're talking a couple of pounds here. All right, so you have the firing position and the short position. So since I don't want to fire it, I'm going to put it on the short, okay? Because to start it, I have to start rotating it and then firing it. So this right here is the power cable. And when I touch this lead right here, then that capacitor right there will be filled with energy and ready to start firing this engine when I rotate it. Okay, so 152 volts, 0 volts, no current. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and touch that. Now you can see 151 volts, 152 volts, and no current being used. All right, so how do we start it? We just simply start spinning it. All right, there you go. Now look at this. Look at the arcing on that motor. Look at those giant arcs. Look at the voltage. See that? Over 1,000 volts. Look at the amount of current being used. See? 0 current. It's fractional. It's so fractional. Voltage. There is the high voltage LED. Let me turn off the light so you can see the LEDs. I mean the high voltage bulb. See that? That's the high voltage bulb. And there is the arc coming from the motor. Do you see that? That is what you're seeing now is the voltage fluctuating through here that is going through there. Lots and lots of voltage. Okay, so how much current is coming through this right now? See the amps? So because it's going so fast, it's like that bearing is like gonna like explode. You can see that it's arcing. Oh shit. Sorry about that. Oops, I just lost. Oh. 1 second. It's going so fast. Look at these plasma arcs. Oh. I'm gonna have to stop it. I'm gonna have to readjust the motor. There it goes, it's winding down. Now there's no voltage because we have disconnected. There's no capacitance and there's still no current. And this voltage is going back up. So as you could see, what we were getting was like over 5 amps being put back into the battery. So, and both sides were arcing pretty good. I need just one moment. Hold on a second here. You were probably noticing that the motor was speeding up and going even faster than it was before. That has to do with the how you transfer via a fine tip on your conductors. So here I'm using one copper and one brass rod over this timing commutator. But this is very simple. Like I said, it's just a fire and a short segment, okay? A fire and a short segment. See, now the circuit is off. There's no voltage in the capacitor and there's no current. And the voltage, look, it's still going back up. It'll be back up right where it was in just a moment. But these batteries have already been recharged. But once again, the secret is right here. Fire and short, okay? When you fire and short, okay, a coil of wire, it creates a magnetic field. And when you short it, the magnetic field collapses. The current travels back up through the wire across the 110 volt bulb, back through the diode, then back into the batteries. This thing will just continue to run. In my previous videos, I talked a lot about these Joseph Newman designs and commutator and how these coils and everything works. But look, even Joseph Newman says it right here himself. The timing effect I have described is very critical. And when I say it's critical, I mean it's this critical. And how do you check for timing? Let me show you what happens. Let me just show you really fast what happens. How do you test timing? Let me just see if I can move this back a little bit here. Yeah, okay, there you go. How do you test timing? All right, let me show you guys how to do that really fast. This is the last critical part of the timing. So when you align the commutator here, sorry guys, when you align this commutator here, you have a fire and a short segment, okay? And what you do is you take the lead that's going to supply power to the shaft, okay? And watch what happens. I'm going to touch it where the fire section is versus the short. It'll do one full rotation. Did you see that? It did one full rotation. Actually, it did two rotations on it, on tapping it. Okay? That's on tapping it. So let me just get it back up here. Okay? So on the firing area, I'm just going to tap it. Do you see that? Now, do you think that really took any electrical energy? Do you think that took 20 amps of current to rotate this very heavy shaft? This thing is heavy too, by the way. I'm not kidding. This thing is pretty heavy. Did it take, 20 amps to turn that heavy shaft? No, it didn't. It just took a quick tap, some high voltage tap, to make that thing weightless and turn that really heavy shaft. Okay? So that is the secret. That is the Joseph Newman secret. And while this is complex, as long as you understand that one principle, you can dominate the world with free electricity. So this is the energy machine of Joseph Newman. Now let's move on to something else that's really cool. I thought we'd do some more show and tell. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And anybody that wants to email me to talk about this further, you can do that. You can email me at this email address, SHAD0WBURN3D at gmail.com. Okay? So let's move on to something else really cool that I think you guys are going to like. Let's move on to this. Now, this is huge. Let's just look how huge that is. That's almost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 inches in length and height. And it's extremely heavy. It's very, very heavy. This is a full-blown, like, Newman machine. And then here is another Newman machine. Now, you may look up things like this, the Big Eureka, and you may find information or DVDs like this. You may find it all on Joseph Newman's channel. You may find, you're never going to find that anywhere except for here, but you're going to find this full-blown evidence of why none of us energy inventors will ever get our machines into the hands of anybody, ever. Because of people like the patent offices who say they're not going to allow perpetual motion machines to ever be patented or allowed on planet Earth by any government. So, here's some proof, okay? And that's all I can say. That's all I can say right here. Right? Some proof. Now, I've showed this more than once, but the proof is in Joseph Newman's work, and the proof is in John Bedini's work. Has anybody ever seen these guys? Quanta magnetics, okay? I've done a lot of, investing and working in the quantum magnetic stuff, and none of it's all that great. It doesn't seem to do what it says it's going to do. There's some potential in here, but, I don't know what to say about this yet. I'm still looking into it and working with it. This, however, is the real deal. This stuff that Quanta's doing, their magnetic motors are based on Joseph Newman's stuff. And if you've gone around and looked at any of the Joseph Newman stuff, as I was saying here, then what you will see is the secret, even with the magnetic motors, and I'm taking it to the bank, okay? The secret with all magnetic motors is you got to know where to fire by the tapping of the right areas. If you tap it just in the right spot and the shaft rotates 100% or even twice, then that's where the motor has to fire every single time, okay? And while it's in the middle of firing, you're harvesting the back spike that comes off of the coil of wire to go back in and recharge your bank or whatever you're gonna work with. So some people may want to see, I want to see like you using some usable energy. All right, well, let me prove that to you guys. I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to light up some super bright lights, and I'm going to spin this Joseph Newman machine by hand, because you just saw that the one that I did over there used 0 current. All right, so let's just do this really quick. I'm putting this on a camera stand so I can show you guys this, because I'm going to spin this one by hand, and I'm going to show you how the magnetic fields aren't growing in size and preventing me from using stored electrical energy. Hang on one second. I'm going to tape this down. Okay, the light bulb that you use in your house, that's high wattage, that puts out a lot of light so that you can see everything, right? Now, you want to use something that's going to generate a lot of current, so you can power the light bulb, or you can charge up let's say a 12-volt car battery, right? There's nothing wrong with having a battery, okay? A battery is just a storage tank. So, you can't say that you're not getting, free energy. The free energy comes from the concept of getting more electrical energy out of whatever you put into it, and without using a lot of electrical energy to generate a lot of electrical energy out. So I know that's difficult to probably grasp, but it's the truth of the matter if you study this subject of Joseph Newman. And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to do this by hand, and it's going to be a rotating shaft. Let me just get into some perspective here. I don't want you to think I'm pulling any tricks here. All right, I'm going to rotate that shaft by hand very slowly and then speed it up, because what you will notice is when the timing is right on that one, it'll power that one full blown. Now, if you take the machine that I showed you in the other room, which is a Joseph Newman machine, and you use that to power that heavy shaft, you can start powering up light bulbs and light banks and like all kinds of stuff. And, I'm not going to get into that tonight because it's pretty late, but, I definitely wanted to share this with everybody because reality, man, it's reality. I don't even know if this video is going to get deleted, but if it does, hey, for everybody that watched this and attended this, you saw it here first. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to rotate the shaft, and I'm going to light that light bulb. And when I say the light bulb, I mean, like, look, it came out of a light, okay? And I'm just putting the high wattage part here so that you can see this. So here we go. If you don't get the timing right, then just bear with me. I have to get this thing perfect. Should start coming on any moment now. There it goes. I've lost the timing, so therefore it started to slow down. So that should be enough for now. Give me 1 second. It's kind of hard to do this, but this timing is extremely critical. As you can see that when I rotate this shaft, it's got to be in perfect sync. Like, I mean, every hit has to be on the point, on the beat, in order to get this going. 1 second. All right, well, it's hard to do this with 2 hands, but anyway, you saw one demonstration. That's good enough for tonight. I'm getting tired. So anyway, here we go. This is the final secret from Joseph Newman's energy machine from me to you guys. And 1N4007 diode and as much high voltage as possible. We're just going to recap what the fine points are one more time. Commutator. It can be any round metal disc. It can even be whatever you can dream up and create as long as you have timing slots, okay? And if you need to see that again, okay, it's right here. You know, fire, short, blank, you know, brush to battery, here, hub, okay? This would be the hub. This would be the firing segment. This would be the short segment. What is the short segment? Okay, as you can notice, I made timing marks here, okay? And then I wrote in where it's shorted out. Really what it means to short this out, okay, is to basically where this timing slot goes from here all the way through the rest of the slice of the pie, basically, right? Sorry, guys. Everything on the inside of this short here, I have some electrical tape here. You could get some electrical tape and you basically would put the tape from here all the way around until you get to the other slice of the pie. Okay, and that has to do with this shorting out the segments. You have a short, a blank, and the fire. Okay, and the reason for that is when it shorts out, what it does is it allows the collapsing magnetic field to collapse back onto itself and then go back, and then basically you can start recharging or capturing energy in storage tanks and then using it for something. And, you know, if I can get this realigned one more time, maybe I can show it to you guys one more time. There's so much vibration when this thing really gets cooking. I think, yeah, okay, so it's, I think I see the problem. Okay, that moved. Hang on, bear with me 1 second. I gotta readjust this. All right, here we go. All right, so when I turn it, I need to make sure that it's. I don't know why the camera is not focusing. It's horrible. Anyway, so that when it turns, it's smooth and it makes contact, or it needs to make contact. So first thing you do is you want to put it on the short, right, before you turn it. And these motors, these mechanical motors, are turned by hand. So let's look at this again. Let me close this book, move this out of the way. Let me get this amp meter, put that back there. Let's turn this back on. All right, we're got our voltage back up here. Let's look at the current voltage reading of the cap. It's not this. The circuit is not on, therefore there's no voltage in this capacitor. Let's put this back on the 10 amp scale. Current, it's in series with the circuit. Right? Okay. LED's not illuminated, and we're not pulling. I'm not showing any current there yet either. All right, so we're going to go ahead and repower the circuit. And as you see, as I applied power, it immediately started doing that. There's no current. Our voltage is still stable. There's nothing coming out of that. And now we're going to repower this again simply by turning it. This is the current meter. Because it's dumping so much energy back into the batteries, it's just it's bouncing. Here is the high voltage going back into the capacitor. And our voltages are fluctuating. And our amp draw, are coming across this and going back through this and then back into the batteries. There you go. 5, 7, 10 amps, 4 amps. And it's speeding up. See that? Zero current. That's the current meter. That's the voltage of the capacitor. That's the shaft. Oops. You hear the speed of that thing? All right, I can't keep holding this thing in my hand for too long, so I'm just going to kill it. Hang on. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that. Our voltage is climbing back up again. We're not putting anything across that, coming back across this back into here. So that is the voltage of the 450 volt capacitor as it's dying down. All right. That's going to be it for tonight. You guys have a good one, and thank you for attending. It's Monday, June the 29th. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And like I said, this man is the guy responsible for this, which is legit. Usable energy, rechargeable, storable, which provides work in these light bulbs, high watt light bulbs. There you have it. So look into that. Look into this. Don't try to file any patents, because the patents aren't going to go anywhere. I don't know if this is going to... There you go. Let me just do this. Oh, and if you guys have never seen like John Bedini circuits, this is what they look like. Solid state potentiometer, 555, high voltage caps and coils, all that. So, as you can see, voltage is climbing back up again. Nothing in the capacitor. And remember, we used absolutely no current at all, none, to get usable, storable energy. If you take lightning bolts, high voltage, and you dump it into this capacitor, and then you place a light bulb, right? A light bulb on that capacitor. A light bulb. On this capacitor, what happens? The light bulb lights up and you get what? Usable energy. Now what can you do with that? You can put it into a battery bank, and then you can hook it up to an inverter, and then you can do things like power up your lights. You can power up your microwave. You can cook your washing machines, all kinds of stuff. So remember that my aim is to help people, and we will succeed at this. In fact, we already have. Remember Imhotep's solid-state relay circuit, and remember this man and John Bedini. These gentlemen provided everyone with this technology, which has always been here. And, not many people use this technology. And if you are trying to think about, like, what type of relay can I get? Well, any relay, like an automotive relay, you can go and you can get for solid state. This is not using the Joseph Newman stuff, but you can stack these components together like this in a Joseph Newman machine, and just think of the things you could do with this. Unlimited electrical energy. So this one is a 12 volts, 30 amp, all right? And the ones that Imhotep shared. Did I put those up here? Yeah. Let's do a little show and tell real quick, because everybody wants to know about the secret sauce all the time, and it's really simple. So let me show you guys that really fast. This is a part number that can be easily found on the internet. You'll have to order it. It'll come overseas, but you can get a 14 volts DC, 80 amps. And the thing about this is if you notice, there's 4 contacts, but there's no 5th one. Now, generally, the 5th one would be in the center. And when you take this thing apart, this is what you see. You see this inductor, which is this coil of wire that's sitting right here in the middle. And you have to bridge 2 pins together. And how Imhotep does it is he solders something right here on this contact. Let me just show this to you. And that's the other crappy part, is the videos that they put out, man, they have no resolutions and you can't see anything and tell what's going on. That right here, right where it's making a, if I can get, okay, that's not so good. Let me do this. There we go. Can I zoom in? No. Because of the chat window here, it's making it impossible for me to zoom in and out, and trying to like get some clarity on. There we go. Waiting for the chat window to disappear. Right here, you solder this to another piece of wire. Okay? And then you short out 30 and 86, because 86 would have been the middle pin, but since there isn't an 86 on this relay, you solder it here. But if you wanted to not have to solder this and get the same effect, you quite simply would use this, the middle one, which isn't on this one, and you connect it and 30 together and you short it out, and then as soon as you apply I don't know where anyway, I'll use this. I don't know where my ruler went, but as soon as you apply a voltage to this solid state relay, just in case you didn't see what this part number was again. As soon as you apply a voltage to this solid state relay, see that number, 14 volts and 80 amps? You're talking about 80 amps of current when the coil collapses coming out of this thing. 80 amps. And I demonstrated that. And there are some other people that have been demonstrating it too, but it's just not catching on to people because either people just, they don't experiment, or they're not, they're just not interested, because everybody wants something done for them and they want it now, and that's fine. In fact, I'm starting to get to the point where I think I'm going to just start building stuff and supplying it to people, because if that's what people want, then some people have to step up to the plate and do that. And I'm in that arena where I'm about to start doing that for everybody. But yeah, once you apply that voltage to the solid state, then you can do the same things where you get zero current, absolutely zero current being fed into even this thing. And this is not a mechanical rotating shaft. This is solid state resonant energy. So while you have a mechanical shaft rotating to produce energy, this one doesn't have a mechanical rotating shaft to produce energy. It's completely solid state. And if you think about how phones and everything else are powered today, that's kind of like where a lot of things are actually going. So, you know, are we gonna like truly like need like nuclear energy? Are we gonna need like gas and all that? You know, I think not. But it's gonna take efforts of guys like me and others to help humanity to get technology like this into everybody's hands, not just limited people, but everybody. And that's where we want to get. That's where I want to get. You know, and I know somebody doesn't want to pay me money to help the world. In fact, I've been getting kind of baked by microwave energy, as I've also shown in some other videos. And I wouldn't doubt it if somebody comes after me again, just because I'm quite simply using this man's legacy to share his secrets to you guys. And that is the honest to God truth. I'm telling you, if you have taken anything from this live stream tonight, take this advice. The secret to rotating huge mechanical shafts, heavy shafts that have stored potential energy in them, is this right here, high voltage. Hello, Gabriel. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. So, if you think about this heavy shaft I'm talking about that's right here, look at this. You know, it's going to rotate for a while because the mass is still rotating. But if you can think about trying to stop a really heavy mechanical shaft by hand, I mean a big one. I'm not talking about what you see right here. Imagine a giant one. And what do I mean by that? Look this up. Try putting your hands on this thing once it gets going and stopping it. No, not going to happen. So if you are a inventor or an energy guy, and you know, you understand some of these concepts, you can imagine that anything in existence on the entire face of planet Earth that has a rotating shaft that applies this principle while using no current, what does that tell you? You can fly planes without gas. You can hook up solar panels with, let's say, minimal milliamps and power huge, heavy shafts on cars, airplanes. You just think about that. Boats. And whether or not you develop something your own self and sell something, you know, if you gain some of that knowledge from here, at least give a man some credit who brought these technologies up. And I'm talking about like Newman, John Bedini, Tom Bearden, the guy Imhotep who showed everybody the world the solid state relays. Thomas Henry More, Nikola Tesla. These are all of the secrets, man. These are all of the secrets. This is the secret. It's right here. The reason Tesla, was able to do all he was ever able to do is because he knew about this. High voltage is where all of the electrical energy is stored. Yep. It's not about current, man. These people talking about, needing so much current to do work. No, man, I'm telling you, if I tried to get a 1 volt battery, a 1.5 volt battery, I could turn that shaft, but I couldn't turn it for too long, right? But the more voltage I put in there means the more atoms align on that shaft, and the shaft itself starts becoming weightless because of the amount of electrical magnetic energy that gets stored in it. And then that's why, if you think about the current coming back out of it, that's why it stops eating up current. And it's going to be hard for a lot of people to grasp that, but it doesn't matter. Don't even try to get wrapped up in that. Just get wrapped up in the fact of how, whoa, look at Henning. He's up. It's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Welcome. Try to get wrapped up in the fact that this right here is the secret. It's the timing. And as long as you get the timing firing in the right cycle, you are gonna change the world. In fact, anybody that's in a third world country right now who's watching this video, they're about to free themselves. As long as they can make a mechanical wheel, a huge shaft, and get some high voltage stored in some capacitors, and then start getting that shaft rotating. And then if they can get access to coils of wire, then they can start generating the huge back EMF fields, which then start driving, current flow and back into the batteries. And then they can do things like I showed with the mechanical energy, the stored energy back in, and then light bulbs, right? Without stopping Lenz's law and all that crazy nonsense. Well, it's not nonsense. It does apply to your indoctrinated way of thinking about what everybody's taught in conventional physics. But just those things do apply, but to certain schools and houses of thought. But this is a little bit different. I mean, you just have to get your head wrapped around it. And in my previous videos, when I talked about this, I'm just going to do this for everybody because, if we're going to do this, might as well prove what I'm talking about here. See this? NASA. Okay? Every single person from every division, every physicist, nuclear physicist, every person you can think of around the entire United States, all right, proved on record and in court, it's legit. It's just that the damn patent attorneys, right? The patent attorneys declined the patent because they will not patent any perpetual machine. So, All right, so I'm going to leave that, and go ahead and just put this here for you guys, and I'm going to look at some of these comments, and then we can talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to call it a night. I think this was a good share, if they allow it to be uploaded. I guess we'll know here in a moment. All right, Robert and Cindy Moore. I'm a master electrician and own a small electrical company. Cool. Yeah, once you work with that technology and those principles, you're going to find out just how far you can go with your experience. It's going to be a really cool thing. Yeah, if you think about those plasma arcs, it's all stored energy and potential. Chris, CC Water 99 got a jet. All right, hey, thanks for stopping by. H2O car engine. Yeah, you could use all of that energy to start releasing hydrogen. You could do that too. Gabriel is naming off every country that he can name off. Yeah. Henning, they will never patent an eternal machine. They won't make money. That's why they bury Tesla. Yes, sir. That is true. And they won't even pay anybody like me. You know, they're probably just like, let's just kill this guy. We don't want to pay him anything. You know. Yeah, that's just stupid, man. Everybody just trying to take all the money and live a little bit longer. I mean, it's stupid, man. All right. Well, Henning, good to see you. Hope you're safe, man. Not choking on dust. Yep. Gabriel. Yep, it's green energy. It's so simple, man. You know, there's a lot of master electricians that they understand a lot of this stuff too, so it shouldn't be difficult for them either to understand. So let me see where it's jumping back up again. All right, something got disconnected here. Let me reconnect this. Yep, see? Voltage is already back up to where it was. And still climbing. Yep. All right. Yeah, I'm not worried about anything. Do you know how many people now have they already have access to this book. So who am I? Let me flip this around. Greetings. So who am I? You know, I'm like nobody. Everybody has the same amount of access to this information that I do. And this is a huge book, man. It's huge. And you can see, like, I've been studying this thing pretty extensively. And, you know, there's a great man. I don't know if he wants to be named. I'm not going to name him. But he has helped me so much to acquire so much knowledge that I've been chasing after. And it's been a great deal of help. And, you know, I really, I can't say thanks enough. I've said enough to him offline. So he knows who he is. You connected those 9-volt batteries in series, right? Henning, yes. When you connect multiple batteries in series, you increase voltage, but not amperage. So if one 9-volt battery cannot crank out 100 amps worth of current, and as I demonstrated, I was already pumping out, probably for a while I was doing this video, more than hundreds of amps worth of current, and that was fully demonstrated. In a previous video I also demonstrated where I cranked out hundreds of amps of current using this solid state circuit. And this one's really awesome. If there's two circuits anybody ever wants to have in their arsenal of free energy, it's going to be the Imhotep and the Joseph Newmans circuits. Those are without question the real deal. And Thomas Henry More also had it. In fact, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, you may know who Ed Leeds-Gallinan is, Coral Castle in Florida. Well, if you think about, let me just rotate this here really quick. If you think about this, on Ed Leeds-Gallinan's Coral Castle, he had that magnetic shaft that was rotating like this. Well, you quite simply just take this, put this box, up here, and then, put this on top, and now it's rotating this way. It's basically this same circuit, but turned another way. He was able to power up things too using absolutely zero current. And what do we see time and time again? Is anybody familiar with pattern matching? If you look at every circuit, how it functions, what every electrical engineer does, or how they all work, there is a specific pattern in all of those circuits. And they all have a reaction. And if you can match the patterns up in the right order, like a puzzle, then you turn a key and you unlock a secret. And I don't know how else to explain that, but it's the truth. And for all of the guys, or even women, everybody out there in existence that's human on planet Earth, because we don't know who else is watching this broadcast too, probably. If you can understand those principles, you can do great things with it. And it just comes down to the matching of patterns, turning that key, unlocking the secret, and sharing it with everybody. But what was I going to say earlier? Yeah, to the free energy people that are wanting free energy that doesn't use batteries. Okay, well, everybody knows that we're going to use solar electricity for that. Solar electricity. But you're going to need a lot of solar panels. You're going to need a lot of solar panels to push some mass. Now, if you want to push mass, you're going to need a lot of voltage. A lot of high voltage to push some mass. And, we're going to get into other subjects maybe one day. But think about microwave oven transformers. Think how much voltage they can crank out. Now, if you want to talk about nuclear energy, imagine stepping up your voltage and using gigantic, massive shafts, turning massive shafts that are powering existing electrical loads today. but using lots and lots of high voltage and no current to move the mass. You know, so Henning, you're talking about, yeah. With the solar power, what I mean by that is if you take into contrast this, the voltage, you don't use any current when you're running the circuit. And if you want to eliminate using this and you want to use solar, then you're going to have to get a lot of solar panels, and you're going to have to use transformers to do things that you see on electrical grids today. You're going to have to step up the voltage in order to get, a result that you need to turn mass like this, because the only thing that can turn this mass is voltage and not current. So as long as you can turn this mass, you get the stored potential energy that's in the heavy shaft, right, to then power the load, like your lights or your generators that'll recharge batteries or whatever. And that's really all that matters, And like I said, there's no such thing as free gas, right? And if you have to put gasoline in a storage tank and store it for later, it's equivalently the same as saying capacitors or batteries. They're just storage tanks. And but you got to have a way to get that energy into the storage tank to be able to use it for something later. And that's where either capacitors or batteries come in, and solar panels. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for tonight on the free energy segment. I don't even know if this is taking down the Schumann feed because I'm doing two streams simultaneously. But I guess we'll know soon. But this is information that should be shared far and wide. And just remember, like in history, you have founding fathers that delivered us freedoms and everything else. Well, the same thing applies with electrical energy. Thomas Edison, Thomas Henry More, the Egyptians, the Baghdad battery. There's Atlantis. Anything you can fathom that predates history. We're relearning and rediscovering everything all over again. And but like I said, this is as easy as it gets. It's timing. It's timing. It's so right there. It's just timing. And there's a lot of people that contact me and talk to me about a lot of this stuff, and I have to continuously show a lot of this information to everybody until they get it and they learn it. But we'll get there. Let's see. Yeah, solar power is not consistent. Wind power neither. Yeah, Henning, those are true statements. They're not consistent. They fluctuate. All right, well, I'm going to call it a night for this stream. And then I'm going to see if my other one is still alive. And I'm going to cut this one off. Hopefully it doesn't get deleted. But for anybody that's watching this now, like I said, if you need help, I don't mind helping. You can email me at SHAD0WBURN3D @gmail.com. And time permitting, if I can, I will try to help. But if you learned anything from this video tonight, you should have paid attention only to this. This is the secret. That and this, high voltage. Okay? And you need a 1N4007 diode so that when your magnetic field in the coil collapses and goes across this AC, that it gets redirected back into the positive side of your battery, because one side's already grounded and the other side's coming back into the battery. And then, like I said, you will continue to see that the amperage stays stored in the battery, but you will see that the voltage, just goes back to where it was. So, and then you need to download the 8th edition, but the Energy Machine of Joseph Newman. And like I said, one last time, it's the commutator. It is the commutator. This is the commutator. Fire and short. So once again, because I know, like, if everybody continues to see this, then it'll just click in their mind. 1 second. Here you go. Fire and short. 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 And maybe you're like, well, can I see that work one more time? Yeah, I'll do it for you guys one more time. All right. Before I start the motor, I'm going to put this on the short, okay? Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I need to re-show you the other part. I need to show you the other part. So to find out where you actually have to fire the shaft so it can actually rotate, you have to take the high voltage side and touch just tap the rotor. Just tap it one time. When you tap it, it should send that rotor flying. See that? Now, I didn't have to keep this connected to get that heavy shaft rotating. So, and once you get the measurement of where to fire it, then you'll automatically know where to short it out. And then once you get it shorted out, then notice the voltage is 0 again. Here, let me just do that. Right, we started with that voltage, and look, we're back with that voltage again. All right, once you do that, then remember, you just turn the shaft by hand. See, I'm not using any current. No current at all. Zero current. Zero current. I'm generating lots of high voltage back into the high voltage capacitor. So I'm just going to stop that. But that shaft, you can see it's getting drained again. But it's all about this: fire and short, fire and short. And this man, Joseph Newman. And remember that a diode only permits energy flow to be rectified into DC and to flow one direction, positive to negative. Here's the 1N4007 diode flowing the charge back in to the batteries. So, high voltage and Newman. And you can download a PDF of this off the internet everywhere. It's the 8th edition of the Joseph the energy machine of Joseph Newman. And I'm getting kind of tired now, so I'm going to call it a night, guys. Got to work. So let's all make history again. And let's be proud that we have solved all of the energy mysteries. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not, let's just be proud that we have. And let's share it with the world. Cheers.